Hello fellow gardeners, welcome to Smart Garden, where we believe that the most powerful tool in your shed isn't a shovel or a tiller, it's understanding the soil beneath your feet. If you've been feeling discouraged by rocky, compacted clay beds or wondering why your plants struggle despite expensive fertilizer applications, you're not alone. Today we're diving into one of the most transformative, budget-friendly methods for winter soil preparation: cardboard composting. Whether you're battling heavy clay or simply want to build resilient living soil that works for you instead of against you, this guide will show you exactly how. Here's a shocking truth that most gardeners don't want to hear. Your nutrient tests might be lying to you. You can send a soil sample to a lab, get results showing adequate nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and still end up with plants that struggle, underperform, and attract pest after pest. Why? Because soil chemistry is only half the story. Traditional soil tests measure nutrients in isolation, completely ignoring the living, breathing ecosystem that determines whether those nutrients are actually available to your plants. The real problem isn't what's in your soil, it's whether your soil is alive. A soil can be chemically rich, yet biologically dead, unable to convert nutrients into forms plants can use. When soil life is absent, plants become vulnerable, dependent on constant artificial inputs, and trapped in a cycle of declining health. The traditional approach to fixing this problem is to add more fertilizer, more amendments, more chemicals. But what if the solution isn't about what you add, but rather what you build? This is where cardboard composting changes everything. Imagine an entire city exists in just a single teaspoon of healthy soil. That's not hyperbole, it's biology. Within that tiny sample exist billions of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, and countless other microorganisms, each playing a critical role in the soil ecosystem. Bacteria break down organic matter and fix nitrogen from the air, making it available to plants. Fungi form networks that extend far beyond plant roots, gathering nutrients and water while protecting plants from disease. Protozoa feed on bacteria, controlling populations and releasing nutrients in forms plants can absorb. This isn't just background activity, this is the engine that keeps your garden running. Think of healthy soil, not as a warehouse where nutrients sit passively waiting to be used, but as a living city where countless workers collaborate to deliver exactly what your plants need, exactly when they need it. When this city thrives, your plants thrive. They become resistant to drought, naturally resistant to pests and diseases, and require far less from you. Soil organisms don't just improve fertility, they fundamentally change how your garden responds to stress and disease. Here's where most gardeners inadvertently sabotage themselves. The very practices we've been taught to do, often with the best of intentions, systematically destroy the soil life that makes everything else possible. Tilling, for instance, is marketed as a way to improve soil structure, but it's actually devastating. Every pass of a tiller slices through fungal networks that took years to develop, crushes aggregates, exposes deep soil organisms to air and sunlight they've never encountered, and disrupts the delicate balance gardeners have been trying to build. Synthetic fertilizers and pesticides compound the problem. Synthetic fertilizers bypass the entire biological system. They provide nutrients in forms plants can use immediately, so soil organisms stop doing their job. Why work when nutrients are being handed out for free? Pesticides kill the very pest predators and pollinators that provide free, natural pest control, forcing gardeners to use even more chemicals. This creates a negative feedback loop where dead soil requires more inputs, which kills more biology, which requires even more inputs. Plants in this cycle become weak and dependent, constantly reaching for the next chemical solution. Over time, soil becomes compacted and crusted. Water runs off instead of infiltrating. Organic matter depletes because there's no biology to cycle nutrients. Clay soils, already prone to compaction, become nearly impossible to work with. The garden that should be getting easier and more productive actually becomes harder and more expensive to maintain. The path out of this cycle isn't complicated. It's about working with biology instead of against it. The foundation of soil recovery is organic matter. Compost, leaf litter, aged manure, and other carbon-rich materials feed soil organisms. But here's the key. You can't just dump amendments onto dead soil and expect transformation. You need a system that protects and builds rather than disrupts. This is where the no-till, minimum disturbance approach becomes revolutionary. Instead of tilling, you layer materials directly on top of the existing soil, allowing organisms to work undisturbed from below while you build from above. Cardboard composting is the perfect expression of this principle. The cardboard itself becomes food for soil organisms, while simultaneously suppressing weeds and protecting what's below. Cover cropping and diverse planting during the growing season feed soil microorganisms year-round, giving them consistent resources and allowing them to become established and thriving. Creating a cardboard compost bed in autumn is one of the most efficient ways to prepare garden beds for spring, while simultaneously improving soil structure and biology. This technique, sometimes called lasagna gardening, takes advantage of winter's natural decomposition to do the heavy lifting for you. The beauty is that everything happens while you're not actively gardening. The winter weather, the moisture, and the microorganisms are all working on your behalf. Start by preparing your site. If you're adding a new bed to existing lawn or weedy area, simply mow or clear away the tallest vegetation. You don't need to remove everything or till the soil. Gather plain, untreated brown cardboard from shipping boxes, removing all tape, staples, and labels. Avoid cardboard with heavy printing, plastic coatings, or glossy finishes, as these contain substances you don't want breaking down in your soil. Lay the cardboard directly over your prepared area, overlapping pieces by at least 6 inches to block weeds from finding light. Water everything thoroughly until completely saturated. This helps the cardboard settle into place and signals to soil organisms that decomposition can begin. Now comes the satisfying part. Building your layers. Alternate brown materials, dry leaves, straw, shredded paper. With green materials, kitchen scraps, grass clippings, manure in 4 to 6 inch layers. These materials feed different organisms. Browns provide carbon, greens provide nitrogen, and together they create the conditions soil microbes need to thrive. If you have finished compost or garden soil, add thin layers between other materials to introduce beneficial microbes that will speed decomposition. Top everything with a final layer of leaves, finished compost, or wood chips to hold materials in place and retain moisture. Then simply let it rest through winter. By spring, you'll have nutrient-rich, crumbly soil teeming with life. Clay soil represents one of the most frustrating challenges gardeners face. Dense, compacted, prone to waterlogging in spring and cracking in summer, heavy clay seems designed to defeat gardening efforts. But cardboard composting offers a surprisingly elegant solution that works with clay's nature rather than fighting against it. The cardboard layer creates an ideal habitat for earthworms, those essential allies in clay improvement. The dark, moist environment under decomposing cardboard attracts earthworms, which then feed on the cardboard and organic materials above. As they tunnel through the clay, they create pathways for air and water infiltration while leaving behind nutrient-rich castings that improve soil structure. Meanwhile, the decomposing cardboard feeds beneficial fungi and microbes that bind soil particles together, creating the crumbly, workable structure clay soils desperately need. For severely compacted clay, some gardeners use a more direct approach. During a dry spell, they insert strips of moistened cardboard vertically into existing cracks in the clay. These strips add organic matter directly into the dense soil, attracting organisms that gradually loosen the compaction from within. Over seasons, this approach can transform concrete-like clay into manageable, living soil. Perhaps most importantly, cardboard layers help regulate clay's notoriously problematic moisture behavior. Clay either waterlogged and suffocating or cracked and rock-hard, rarely finding middle ground. The organic matter created through cardboard composting improves infiltration, allowing water to move through rather than sitting on top, while the increased pore space created by organism activity allows soil to retain moisture more evenly. Your clay soil becomes more forgiving, more workable, and infinitely more productive. When you invest in building living soil through methods like cardboard composting, you're not just improving numbers on a soil test, you're creating the conditions for genuine, lasting resilience. Plants grown in living soil demonstrate remarkable drought resistance because their expanded root systems, nourished by fungal networks, can access water and nutrients far beyond what chemical-dependent plants can reach. Natural pest and disease resistance emerges because predatory insects find habitat. Beneficial microbes outcompete pathogens, and plants themselves are simply stronger. The financial benefits are equally compelling. Once your soil is living and active, you'll spend dramatically less on fertilizers, pesticides, and supplemental watering. You'll save your back from unnecessary labor. Most importantly, you'll grow better food, more abundantly, with less effort year after year. The investment you make this winter in cardboard and organic materials pays dividends for years. The window for autumn soil preparation is closing, but if you act now, your spring garden will thank you profusely. Gather your cardboard, collect leaves and kitchen scraps, and begin building the foundation for the most productive, resilient garden you've ever grown. We'd love to see your cardboard compost beds. Share photos of your winter preparations in the comments below, and please subscribe to Smart Garden for more practical, science-backed gardening strategies that help you work with nature, not against it. Your future harvest is waiting.